We're less than a week away until the Jets get their first preseason action against the Commanders, and we're also at day 14 of the Haason Reddick holdout. So let's get New York Post Jets beat writer Brian Costello on the line to talk the latest news trending out of Jets camp. Kaz, what's up, man? Thanks for hopping on with us. Obviously, we got to start talking about the elephant that's in the room or that's not in the room or at camp. Robert Saleh has been asked about Haason Reddick's holdout situation. What's Saleh saying about it? And you think that he's worried that Reddick is missing some valuable time, not only with the coaching staff, but with his teammates as well?
Yeah, they're not saying much, Brandon. Saleh deflected most of the questions that he got about it on Monday. He's saying nothing surprises him in the NFL, and he downplayed the importance of Reddick being here. But I would say the Jets are annoyed that he's not here. They want him here. They want him working with his teammates. They want to get him in to the building. The position he plays, he's not missing a ton by not being at practice. He's an edge rusher. He that's pretty much his one job is to rush the passer. He's not missing a whole lot football wise by not being here, but he is missing valuable time with the coaches and with his teammates. This is when training camp is when you build the camaraderie for the season. So I think I think they're annoyed right now. I think the further this stretches on, the more annoyed they're going to get, and I think they won't really be worried until week one feels close. If he's not here by then it's a different conversation.
Well, he's racked up $950,000 in fines so far, and he doesn't seem to be worried. So this could go on till week one. But Costello, Kaz, are you surprised that we're at day 14 of the holdout?
Not really, because the way these things work usually, Brandon, is there has to be like a deadline or something that's going to hit where this makes something happen. Like think about like trades. A lot of times the NFL draft is like when trades happen because there's like a deadline, and he's losing $50,000 a day, but once he was willing to lose the first 50,000, I was like, okay, he's probably willing to lose a lot here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was gonna be a 1 day holdout. So, and it's hard to figure out what that inflection point is of when he might buckle and say, okay, I'm going to come in. What is it? Is there a certain amount of money? It doesn't seem like money is what's motivating this. So is it when camp sort of breaks after that third preseason game when he said, all right, I'm going to come in now, and then he doesn't have training camp practices really? It's hard to figure out. I mean, week one is obviously the big one, right? That they want him in here by then. I'm sure he wants to be here by then. But what happens? When does this break before then?
All right, so in the words of every single NFL coach that's had a player hold out before, let's talk about the guys that are in-house, this offensive line, this revamped, rebuilt offensive line. How are these guys looking? There are reports that Morgan Moses returned to right tackle. How's that Jets offensive line shaping up?
Yeah, Moses came back Friday at right tackle and did team drills. He did them again today. Tyron Smith, though, missed Monday's practice. He also missed Saturday's practice. Saleh said he has some tightness in a lower extremity was all he would say. So that's not a good development. But he did say he expects Tyron Smith to be back out there Tuesday, so we'll see. The big thing is them being on the field, Brandon. You're not getting a lot from practice of evaluations in terms of blocking. Like obviously, there's no tackling right now. And Aaron Rodgers gets rid of the ball so quick. It's really even hard to evaluate the pass blocking because there's not that much of an opportunity for the defensive linemen here. But the big thing is, are they out in the field? Elijah Vera Tucker's been out there a lot, coming off the Achilles, so that's good for the Jets. The biggest concern right now, Brandon, is Joe Tippmann snapping. And, when you want to talk about offensive line, there's been a lot of bad snaps from Tippmann, and that's something everyone's paying close attention to right now.
Has Aaron Rodgers commented on the bad snaps or high snaps?
Not really. He commented on the one day he got on Tippmann. The first day this really popped up, he was yelling at Tippmann, and he said, he feels the need to get on him. Tippmann knows that. He appreciates it. But we haven't really talked to him since it's become more of an issue. Saturday there was one that went over Rodgers' head. That was a particularly bad one. So I'm sure it'll come up the next time we see Aaron.
Yeah, that one on Saturday definitely made its rounds on social media.
Yes.
Let's talk about Thursday because the Commanders are coming out to Jersey for their first joint practice, and that's ahead of their Saturday's preseason game. How big is it for Aaron Rodgers and the Jets offense to get some sort of rhythm going, especially since Rodgers is not expected to play in the preseason games?
Yeah, I mean, these joint practices basically replaced the old preseason games, right? This is what they do. You can't bring the quarterback to the ground. It's a little bit safer, a little bit more controlled than preseason games. So I think it's huge for the offense. I think this offense has a lot of new pieces that need to work together. We just talked about the offensive line. This to me is critical for the offensive line. This is when they're going to get their reps together against another team. It's not going to happen in the preseason games. So this will be big, and the Commanders always have, they have a good defensive line, and Dan Quinn will bring some creative looks, I'm sure. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see them against another team this week and see what Rodgers can do against that Commanders defense. You remember last year they went down to Carolina, and the offensive line had a terrible day in a joint practice, and that was really the first time the alarms went off about the offensive line. So you learn a lot more in these joint practices than you do in the regular camp practices.
If a fight breaks out, do you see Aaron Rodgers jumping in the scuffle like Daniel
Like
Jones
Daniel
did
Jones?
Monday? Like Daniel put a little DJ action in there. You think Rodgers has it in him, Kaz?
Oh, I think he has it. He has it in him. I'm gonna guess that there'll be probably 15 Jets staffers that are running to make sure he doesn't get in the fray, pulling him away from that. So I think the Jets will tell him, please don't. There was a play I saw last week where there was a fumble. I think it was a bad exchange with the running back, so the ball's on the ground, and you could see Rodgers' instinct was to jump on the ball. And but you could also see as the defensive linemen are crashing to jump on the ball as well. Everyone was holding their breath on the Jets coaching staff. That Rodgers might jump on the ball, but at the last second he stopped and just let the defensive lineman recover it. Saving his arm.
Hashtag business decision right there, and a great
Yes.
decision as well. Brian Costello, thanks for hopping on with us, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.